I attended Oconee Fall Line Technical College, and like many others, I was considered a non-traditional student.
My classes at OFTC have taught me the different aspects of a criminal mind and the way the criminal act.
The term non-traditional career refers to jobs that have traditionally been held by one gender. That would be like males in cosmetology or females in welding.
Anyone can do it, regardless of the gender, and as long as you put your mind to it, you can succeed and achieve all your goals.
A number of months ago, we had invited Casey Cagle to be our speaker at this annual luncheon. He graciously agreed, was excited about coming. As it grew closer to time, he called me a few weeks ago, and we do know that this week they're having budget hearings, and he's required to be present for budget hearings, and he was afraid he might not be able to be here. As it turned out, he and the speaker were meeting today, so it's a good thing we didn't continue with that. So we changed. And I have, a few days later, was talking to Randy Cardoza, who many of you remember was the longest serving county commissioner, not county commissioner, economic development commissioner in the state of Georgia. He served for 3 governors. Randy was excited about coming to Dublin. He's got so many friends here, like Ben Hall and Wallace Miller and Mike Cawley, and a lot of them that were on the authority at that time, and all of us too. And Randy was very excited about coming. But yesterday at noon, Randy called me and he says, "Roger, I'm living on a golf course up here in Noonan. We've had 3.5 inches of snow, and they're telling me I can't drive any place." And he said, "I'm gonna take another look at it later in the afternoon." Well, I encouraged him not to even attempt it. And Randy Cardoza could not be with us today either, and he extends his regards to each of you. We didn't want Randy on the road slipping and sliding. He said 10 years ago he wouldn't have thought about it, but 10 years changes a lot of things, even if you're 5, you know. But I'm going to tell you about a true friend I've got and a true friend we have. We were down here yesterday making some of the final arrangements, and Beatrice and Beth and Brad and I were scratching our heads, and we were thinking about we could do this, we could do that, whatever. We knew we didn't have a lot of choice here. And there's another event coming up on Friday that I thought Alex might be coming to Dublin. And I said, I feel close enough to Alex Gregory. I'm going to call him and see if he's coming, and we might prevail upon him to come a day early. Well, I called him, and Alex was not planning to come, and he had some meetings scheduled for today. And I told him of our situation. Alex was our speaker last year, as you remember. He would have been our speaker this year. The only reason we didn't ask him first is we used him last year. And I said to Alex, we don't expect you to do this, but if you were coming anyway, we'd like for you to make a few remarks about our community, because I know of no one that knows our community any better than Alex Gregory. And YKK is certainly one of our prides here. And he has been instrumental in that. We were sitting here talking about looking at Ted Yoshito and Louis Livingston, and YKK has been instrumental in our community, still is. It is really a flagship here. And Alex has been integral in that, and he is retiring later this year. I told him that that's just not going to happen, but he says it is. But anyway, Alex said, "I've got some meetings, and I'm not sure I can do it." Less than 5 minutes, my phone rings, and it's Alex, and he said, "I think we got some of those meetings canceled." He said, I'll be there for you." Alex Gregory's here. He came from Atlanta. He loves this community. I took that a little personally. I was like, boy, I got a real buddy in Alex Gregory, and I do. But Alex Gregory did that for you guys, for this community, and I want you to help me welcome a real friend of Lawrence County. He said we could not put him down as the keynote speaker, but don't tell him I said this, he is. Alex is, you can see on your program, his title. I'm not going to go through a long introduction because we did this last year and he would be embarrassed for me to do it again. but he's the chairman, president, and CEO of YKK Corporation. He is the first non-Japanese person to be in the roles that he has played in YKK. And as far as we know in North America, we've met Tad Yoshido and a lot of Japanese people, but YKK's always been to us Alex Gregory. And we appreciate what he has done, what he has meant to our community. I don't know what he and his wife are planning to do after he retires, but we were having some of that discussion today. But I've encouraged him to, he probably needs a little summer home in Dublin, Lawrence County. Although I think he would be close some. He's at Eatonton a fair amount with his mother, son. But a true friend, and we've got many friends in Dublin, Lawrence County. We have done a good job positioning ourselves globally and with industry. But we've never had a better friend than Alex Gregory. Help me welcome Alex Gregory.
It's a pleasure to be here, even under these circumstances, especially under these circumstances. I see many familiar faces out there. Can everybody hear me okay? I have occasionally an opportunity to speak somewhere, and the next year, usually I don't even get invited back. So earlier, a few weeks ago, I got an invitation from Beth to come to this, and I was excited that, and I never expected Roger to call me yesterday and ask me if I'd say a few words. He did make it sound like I was going to be among a group of 3 or 4 people that would each speak for 3 or 4 minutes. So he sort of surprised me with handing me the microphone right now. But yeah, okay, you did a good job. Yeah, I don't know that he would have gotten me here. But anyway, enough about that. When I stepped up here, some of you probably thought deja vu. Here's Alex back. And by the way, I brought my speech from last year. If you'd like me to repeat that one, I'd be happy to. But no, I'm not going to do that. But coincidentally, I'm reading a book right now. It's called Originals by Adam Grant. I don't know if any of you have read it. It's a good book, but he talks about Vujade. And what he says is it's one thing to react to things that occur to you randomly, but he said that a lot of life is dealing with the same set of circumstances, the same set of challenges day in, day out. And I think in business we face that. I think communities like Dublin, Lawrence County face that also. Things are sort of similar. They evolve, but are sort of similar. And so he encourages us to look at those things differently, from a different perspective. He said that's what separates the originals from the rest of us, that just sort of get by, the communities that really thrive. And I say all that just to say that over the last 25 years, that as Rick Hudson, my colleague sitting there, encouraging me on, but over the last 25 years, we've seen Dublin and Lawrence County evolve and to practice that Vujade and becoming better and better, to go from good to great. And the ideas that you have in your leadership, the changes, the improvements, the support you provide to your existing industry, in addition to the wonderful effort you do to attract new businesses. And those new businesses and the success of your existing industry, such as YKK AP, that's what provides the bright future and the happiness for all of your citizens here in the community. So you're doing it right. And it's not the least bit surprise to us when y'all receive the International Business Community of the Year Award from the Atlanta Business Chronicle. Of course you did. And we had nothing to do with that, Jimmy. They did that without our input, but it was not a surprise to us. And I'll be disappointed if y'all don't get it again this year. Roger, my title's wrong that you had up there. I'm sorry, the title you had everybody look at, it's wrong. I'm not president. Last May, we promoted Jim Reed. He was our former chief legal counsel. We promoted him to the presidency. And I remained as chairman and CEO, and I announced at the same time I was announcing Jim's promotion, I said, and this is, before you all come running up to me and say, okay, who's doing what, let me go ahead and tell you this is a one-year thing. And a year from now, in May of 2018, I'll be retiring. Everybody applauded. No, I hope they did. But that was good. That's okay. It's time for that. It's time for the new generation to take over. And Jim Reed is a wonderful guy. One of the first things we did was hop in the car and drive down here so he could meet Phil Best and Phil Best could meet him to assure Phil and all the community that Jim Reed's heart is in the same place mine is. He loves this community. Even though he didn't have the privilege of being a part of all that history, he's looking forward to the next generation, the next part, the next chapter in our book together. So Jim's going to do well, and he's going to serve you well. He's committed to that as part of our Cycle of Goodness philosophy. But more important than that even is May was a year ago, almost 2 years ago, we promoted Oliver Steppe to YKKAP's presidency. And Oliver's in Atlanta, but he's down here a lot, and he's very enthusiastic about the community. And you know, this YKKAP Dublin plant is so important to us. We used to think we could serve the region with that plant, and then we expanded it to the 37 eastern states. And then 2 years ago, 2016, we announced that we're going to serve the entire 48 contiguous states from Dublin, Georgia. We found out we were able to do that. And that's a big success story for our company, of course, but also for Dublin. And we're expanding and growing and increasing capacity there. So Oliver's very aware of Dublin, Georgia, and he's met many of you. He's been involved in a lot of things. The MLK Monument, what is it called? The MLK Monument Park. Oliver and Rick and others were heavily involved in that. They created that 5 for 5 challenge, and the Curry companies were the first to jump aboard with us. Louis, thank you for that. And then Community Foundation of Central Georgia, and then Visit Dublin. We completed the 5 for 5 challenge, and that is moving forward. And YKKAP this past Monday was probably one of the few companies in Middle Georgia, I don't know, but to celebrate Martin Luther King Day. YKKAP shut down its factory here in Dublin and all of its offices across the country in honor of the birth of Martin Luther King Jr. I said earlier that our philosophy is the cycle of goodness. No one prospers without rendering benefit to others. We take that very seriously. Our stakeholders include the community. The community is as important to us as our customers are and our employees, and both those are very important to us. But we hold all three up there as being tremendously important to us, and we try to do what we can for their goodwill as well as for our own. I would be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit about the sister city relationship. This year we'll celebrate our 20th anniversary between Dublin, Georgia, and Osaki. I keep wanting to say Sambongi, Bob Walker somewhere here. You probably do have the same problem. The city merged with others and it became Osaki instead of Sambongi, so we're all still adjusting to that. But during these 20 years, more than 139 students from Osaki or from Dublin have visited the other country for a week to 10 days. And more than 23 officials in the communities have gone back and forth, including Mayor Best and Mayor Walker, and hopefully some others of you have had the privilege of doing that. Let me tell you, young people's lives and maybe the lives of the chaperones are being changed through this exchange. It's a wonderful experience. We've got something similar up in Macon. I've gone into restaurants in Japan, and young people, waiters and waitresses, come up to me. They hear I'm from this part of the country, of the United States, and they share with me their experience and how it changed their life visiting Dublin or visiting Macon, so we appreciate that. First, robotics. About 2 years ago, we broached the subject with the Heart of Georgia College and Career Academy about starting the first Georgia First Robotics team, and that went very well. Toby Gould from our factory is heavily involved in that. Maybe some of you are, but participation has now spread to the Dublin City Schools, East Lawrence County School, West Lawrence County School, and soon we hope to start a program at Trinity Christian School. It's where teams around the world compete. They create robots and then compete. And the students, it's a place where somebody who might not want to play football or baseball can go to be a part of a team and have a really good time, and we've seen a lot of good come from that. We hope that we can soon expand it to the middle schools as well, so people can start even younger getting involved in robotics. And if you've been watching TV or reading anything lately, you know robotics are our future. So the more we can get kids involved in this kind of thing as early as possible, the better for all of us. Engineers from Husqvarna, is that right? Husqvarna is close. VA Medical Center and YKKAP share their expertise with these kids, and it's all volunteer, so it's a very, very good thing. We're happy to support it. If you meet any of these students, let's wish them luck in their current season. I think it starts this month and goes through March or April, so they're in the middle of a big competitive season. Let me just wrap up. My thoughts are not very organized. I didn't have a lot of time to think about what I was going to say. I told Jimmy earlier, I said, I can't wait to hear what I'm going to say because I'm not sure what it's going to be. But you know where my heart is, and I think Roger and other people know I love this community, and I hope to remain a part of it, even from Eatonton or wherever I end up. But when the Georgia Chamber of Commerce had their Leadership Georgia program here a few years ago. Seems like yesterday, so it's probably 10 years ago. I don't know. Jimmy, how long ago was it? 7 or 8 years ago. But they asked me to say a few words to that group there. And my advice to them was to go home and get their economic development people, the mayor, the city council, get everybody, bring them back to Dublin and let Dublin show how economic development is supposed to be done. Y'all do such a fabulous job here. You make us feel so at home with you. We want to grow here. We want to do well for you. You're a big part of our motivation. So thank you for all the support you've provided the company and me. Thank you very much.
0% financing, and we'll just add it to your bill. Start saving today. It only makes sense. The City of Dublin Natural Gas.
Let me again thank each of you for being here. I'm going to make a few closing remarks. We're going to wrap up with some highlights from some of the things that have happened in the Development Authority. I did want to recognize Wallace Miller. I saw him earlier as a past chairman of this authority. Fred Williams was here as a past chairman of this authority. And I'm sorry if I'm missing someone else, any other past Development Authority members other than Mike Colley, who is always with us. He's part of the team. He's our accountant. And anyway, we appreciate you being here. And I also saw somebody that I was not expecting to be here, but I am certainly glad she made the trip. She may have come the farthest of anyone. Is Allison McGrath of Plum Creek, former Warehouser. Allison, you mean a lot to this community, and we appreciate you being here as much as anyone. I want to tell you that none of this could happen without good people to serve with and good people to work with, and that's all of you. I could not work with a better group of people than the Development Authority. Scott, Keith, Guy, Phil, Jimmy, and I knew when I started that I'd be missing somebody. And James, who's out sick. Not only are we close to each other, we do have different views on some things. Sometimes that gets interesting, but we all come to consensus. It's as hard a group of working folks I have ever been involved with, and they bring so much to the table, and I'm very appreciative of that. Also, nothing happens without a good team in place at the home office, and we're certainly thankful for Brad and what he does on a day-to-day basis in recruiting our industry. Beatrice, Laris, and Bev Crumpton, both integral key members of our authority, and we're very appreciative to each one of them. And last but not least in the thanks, and when you start with thanks, I could go down, I could be here till 5 o'clock and I'd be here alone. We have the best group of elected officials. I tell you, you don't have to look anywhere but around us. We've got the best group of elected officials I know of. Jeff and Trey and county commissioners, Brian Rogers. If we asked Brian Rogers to build a 40-story skyscraper, he'd be saying, where do we put the pad? I mean, he's just ready to do whatever we need to do to create jobs. And he said y'all would fund that too. And Phil Best, all the city council, Lance, I mean, and George Garner too, City of East Dublin, and Larry Drew that just retired. I'm gonna tell you, we couldn't have a better group of elected officials to work with. We're all getting it, we all understand, we need to create jobs, and we're all about how to do it. And instead of everybody figuring out why we can't do something, we spend an awful lot of time figuring out how we can do it. And that's important in anything that you do. But I also want to thank each of you. Ryan Waldrop, I see you back there from the state. We could do nothing without the state, and I want to keep going. We've had some good governors, but I'll tell you, we've never had one be better to us than Governor Nathan Deal. And we're very appreciative of his support. He's been in this community time and time again. He supported us even with recruiting an industry we did not get, but he came here, ate lunch, spent time, brought his entire staff here. That's the kind of support we get. Wayne, we appreciate that on the Department of Economic Development at the state level. From you, everybody involved, we can't thank you enough. I see it every day. We're a team. The 7 of us couldn't do diddly squat, as my grandmother would say. We couldn't do it. But with all of us working together, awesome. And that's what separates our communities from a lot of people around us. Let me give you a short recap of where we've come from and where we think we're going. Some years ago, we developed a strategic plan to recreate economic development. We were at a point where we were not getting any prospects. We were at a point the phone was not ringing. We were at a point we were not tool for the digital age. And we developed a strategy with the help of some consultants. And it was simple. It was 5 points. Just like many of you would do in your own business. It was 5 points. Keep it simple, stupid. Now call me the stupid one. I won't call my others that. But we kept it simple. And we clicked those 5 points off just as rapidly as we could. We hired a professional that could focus 100% of his or her time on job creation and developing prospects. Many of you recall Willie was doing both. Willie was wonderful. He is wonderful. Willie's sick, by the way. Y'all need to pray for her. She's struggling with a respiratory infection. Hopefully she'll be better soon. She gives you her regard. She'd be here otherwise. But Willie was doing both. So we focused on just job creation. Hired that professional, brought him here, and that worked out so far very well. The county commissioners, and this is just as important as that, they allowed us to use funds from the hospital funds to incentivize economic development. That separated us from a lot of our competition, that we had something in our arsenal to work with. And we have done that. We then involved ourselves in intensive prospect development through visits and targeted marketing. All of you that are in business know you can have a lot of good customers, but if you don't go by and slap them on the back occasionally, or develop new relationships with them, and all business is about relationships, whether it's in China or Germany or it's in Dudley, all relationships are, all business is about relationships. We concentrated on developing those relationships, and we worked hard on that. The authority then had the foresight to develop our sites and make prospect ready. We didn't want to take a prospect out and show them a group of pine trees in a site that wasn't attractive. Brian and his team helped us. We kept grass mowed. We developed and bought land, and we have sites now, and you'll see that even growing more on the 257 site particularly. But we have pristine sites that are known, I hope, Ryan, to all the state economic developers, but they're known. And we got those sites ready. We also brought all our assets to the forefront through digital marketing, websites, social media. We brought ourselves into the digital age, and Beatrice was a key part of that. And you can go on our website now and you can take a tour of any property we own. You can see it. You can see all 4 corners of it. You can see what's there. You can find out the dimensions of it. You can find out anything that you want to know. We brought ourselves into the digital age, just as you are doing in your businesses. we brought the Development Authority where we would bring our businesses. Then we partnered with Plum Creek Warehouser to market and enhance the mega site. That's where Allison came into our lives. We have a tremendous asset with the mega site, and we think that's going to be a regional and a state project at some point, but we have that asset. It has brought people to us. Our recent Chinese visitors, that's why they were here. It's bringing people to us. Sometimes people don't need to be on the mega site, and we think they should be better on some of our sites. But the mega site is like that big ad on TV that's bringing you here. One call, that's all. We'll figure it out. We visited prospects globally. Jimmy and I think it's 2011, we called on prospects in Germany. Cal was going to German trade shows. Brad's become our Chinese connection. We recently went to Latvia and to Germany, Czech Republic, Italy. We are out visiting folks, calling on folks, and positioning ourselves globally. You don't see a lot about what we do, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of work going on with this Development Authority, and we are positioning ourselves globally in the world. I counted the other day, I got Christmas cards, and I'm sure many others on Development Authority and the elected officials may have. I got Christmas cards this year from 8 different countries. Now, Roger Folsom's never done that before. But it's not about Roger Folsom, it's about Dublin and Lawrence County. That's what got us there. Now, are we gonna win each one of these projects? No, and we haven't. But what we have done is enhanced our name recognition in the world, globally. And these people are saying, you know, we know so-and-so that would be interested in coming to the U.S. We're gonna tell them about Dublin and Lawrence County. I'm telling you folks, we're like Johnny Appleseed. We plant apple seeds every day, and sooner or later, some of them going to sprout into an orchard. It won't just be a tree. It's going to be an orchard. We have worked closely and tried every way we know to enhance our development with Georgia Economic Development, and I think we've been successful in that. The commissioner's been here. Randy Croteau, the deputy commissioner's been here multiple times. We have Ryan, lives 35 miles from us. We work with Georgia Economic Development Department every day, and like I said earlier, the governor and his team have been most generous to us. And then there's constant networking by our Development Authority members. As I told you, it's a close group, but it's a unique group. Scott Beasley's got connections in the tire industry. A lot of those Chinese companies were tire people. He knew things about those. I'm just using Scott as an example. And secondly, I'm going to Jimmy. Jimmy now is Ports Chairman, Ports Authority Chairman. He's interacting with worldwide business leaders on a daily basis. And I know Jimmy well enough to know he's promoting Dublin, Lawrence County. Those are integral things and I don't want to leave anybody out. All 7 members of the authority have ties into different aspects of our community and the world, and to businesses. And we are working diligently to try to bring some of those type businesses here through those efforts. And we've not forgotten about our local industry. We don't give this a lot of publicity, but we have not forgotten our local industry and how important it is, and YKK being at the top of that list. But the VA Medical Center, our largest employer, and Mary Alice I don't think could be here today, but the VA has expanded, done some recent expansion, still in the process, and the VA has been wonderful for this community. Fairview Park Hospital, our 2nd largest employer, and I kind of like that being I'm in the medical industry, and number 1 and 2 are medical, but anyway, we got some industry going to be breathing some heat on all that too. So, but we have great local industry, Flex Steel, Farmers Furniture, and they've done some expansion. Erdrich, one of our global companies, they're growing very rapidly. And ladies and gentlemen, Valmera Glass has started making glass. This week, they will be producing glass. That's the only glass of this type produced in North America. And they're just recently going through the throes of hiring another 100 employees. And I don't know if it's final yet, but they have brought like 50-something people here from Latvia to help with a startup. So that company will be at 425 employees within a matter of just a few weeks. That's awesome, in my opinion. I'm not going, preaching's not my game. I often wondered when I'd hear the call, because I already got an 800 number, but preaching's not my game. I'm not going to go religious on you, but the strategy we developed fits into this. When Peter walked on the water, that's as deep as theologically as I'm going on you. But you know the first thing he did, other than listen to our Lord, the first thing he did, he had to get out of the boat. Think about next time any of us fishermen or people like boating, we sitting there, the boat's rocking a little, taking that first step out of the boat. Well, I don't think any of us are going to walk on the water. I haven't been called, and I don't think any of my peers on the development authority are going to walk on any. But I tell you what we did. We got out of the boat. We got out of the boat. We created a strategy that was different, something new, something that would probably get us challenged, and it did. Something that needed an awful lot of funding. Thank God for the county commissioners and the city. But we stepped out of the boat. And that was what, 12 years ago, 10 years ago? And we've kept on that plan. And I'm telling you, Valmere, Erdrich, you can just go backwards, and our existing industry growing like YKK, VA, just keep thinking about it. And a lot of industries in between that I'm not naming, it'd take too long, but you're just as important. They're making us who we are. They're changing this community job by job. Valmere's recent addition, and I just found this out, is $16.35 an hour is our average pay. That'll be going up. They have some jobs at $40 an hour. Think about what that's done for this community and all the other things we've just talked about. The VA hospital, Keith, I'd hate to even know what the payroll is at the VA hospital. Fairview Park, Ted, you probably know, but you don't have to spout it out. Those payrolls are enormous. West Rock has got on good footing. They're doing well. We have so much to be thankful for. We are so fortunate. And Jimmy and I both serve on the Georgia Chamber Board. We were well recognized as 2030 initiative. But I'm going to tell y'all, I take dispute in that we're distressed. We may meet some of that criteria. I know our population's not growing, but it's going to. We are not distressed, and the reason we're not is because of this team, all of you, this team. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for your support, and God bless Dublin and Lawrence County.
In addition to our award-winning efforts in recruiting critical new jobs and investment to Lawrence County, the Development Authority team, with the strong backing and support of our Board of Directors, has developed a 21st century marketing program that would rival major metropolitan areas throughout the United States. The use of cutting-edge technology and creative messaging has allowed us to reach a broader and more geographically diverse audience of job seekers, CEOs, and decision-makers. Today, with a simple click of their mouse, a potential prospect considering Lawrence County can search online for available properties owned and managed by the authority with panoramic aerial photos and specific on-site information related to water, sewer, and gas size, pressure, and available capacities. When a company shows interest in one of our parks, our team works with engineers to develop concepts of their proposed building layout, truck court, parking, and access areas. By the time a company visits our community, they have already seen what their building footprint would look like. One additional click allows them to see available labor, wage rates, and other demographic data within certain distances of their site. In 2017, our team worked with our utility partners to develop drone imagery of all our parks. This is the future of economic development, and the future is here. Our team has established a social media platform that has grown by 300% in the past 24 months. People all over the world follow us online now via Facebook and our quarterly newsletters. Current employers take advantage of our social media exposure by placing job postings. Our team is now driving skilled applicants in our region to apply for these openings, and it's a free service to our manufacturers and existing industries. We encourage you to follow us online. As our community continues to grow and thrive, we will continue to find innovative ways to market the world-class lifestyle and wonderful business advantages of Dublin, Lawrence County.